So we got along that way all right, and on this special night, why, it happened to be my night to get up at midnight. We'd put up a length of drill pipe before the other two boys left that evening to go over to camp, which is about half a mile away, our little old shack that we slept and ate in. So I came on at midnight. Whichever one of the boys were relieved, whether it was Kurt or Peck, I can't remember. But anyway, they hadn't made any hole hardly. It had been pretty hard. Well, I thumped along there, you see, and along about 3 o'clock in the morning, the pump eased up and the rotor began to turn with ease, and I commenced to let it down, to go right along, just though there was nothing down there at all. Kept letting it down. Wasn't long till I had the whole joint down. Just run along as easy as could be. So along before daylight, I detected a gassy odor, but didn't think anything about it especially, because we'd had little soft streaks before, you see. But when daylight came, why, I could see on the slush pit here the oil had come out in bubbles and burst, and quite a little bit of frothy oil on the dish and quite a little on the pit. So when the boys came out with my little bit of breakfast, why, we looked at it, and I sent Peck down to get Captain Lucas. He lived about a mile away. You probably don't know whether they showed you a house where he lived or not.
The location, yes.
So anyway, Peck walked down there, and Captain Lucas came up in a little while and wanted to know what it was, and I told him it was oil. So we discussed pro and con, and he suggested then we put up another joint and see how much of the sand there was. We did. Turned out to be about 35 feet of it. Well, we didn't know what to do with it because we didn't have the hole in shape we drilled through it, you see. Didn't know in those days anything about cementing a string of pipe. Didn't know anything about a strainer to strain this soft sand off with. So Captain, he was pretty Scotch in a way. He wanted to save the string of 6-inch we had laying there for another well, you see. He must have had the fear if we'd used it there that maybe Guffey and Gailey wouldn't drill him another well. But anyway, he decided the thing for us to do to save that 6-inch, and we'd hang our 4-inch in there with a joint of 6-inch on the bottom to the top of the sand, which we did, and waited then. Of course, Cap went to town and wired immediately for Mr. Gailey. Well, it was 3 days before Mr. Gailey could get there. When he got there, we had everything ready. We had our baler and sand line, all equipment ready to bale it. Well, the very first time we ran our baler, we ran it down the bottom, pulled it out, why the well made a little flow up a ways, heaved it up almost to the the swivel board, about 20 feet up. Well, when we ran back in, we had quite a bit of sand in that baler, of course. Went back in again, the cussed thing stopped 300 feet up from bottom. The sand and soft sand had heaved right up there. The pressure had brought it up and heaved it up on our 4-inch. Well, Mr. Gailey had us run the baler a few times, not very many times, but see that wasn't any use in going ahead in that condition. So we rigged up, gathered up a string of 2-inch. Went in and washed this well out to bottom. Washed a lot of sand and a lot of oil out, you see. And so we tried to bale it again with the same results. And tried the third time. Well, it was getting up pretty close to Christmas. Mr. Gailey could see that we couldn't make a success of it that way. As I said before, we he or none of us knew anything about a strainer to handle the situation. So he asked me, said, "Do you think you can pull that string of pipe?" Told him I didn't know, Mr. Gailey. Well, he said, "I'll tell you what you do. You try to pull that pipe. Can't do anything with it the way it is. And set the strict 6-inch through that and go on down and see if there's anything below. And says if you can when you get that done, we'll shut down for Christmas." Oh, we had a pretty tough time pulling that pipe. Old Providence is with us. It had never happened again, I don't think. We managed to pull that string of 4-inch out with that 6-inch on the bottom and set our 6-inch and got our job done in time so that Kurt and I caught the train for Corsicana Christmas Eve. And we spent Christmas up there. Kurt and I left Corsicana on Christmas Eve for the works at Beaumont, landing down there January 1st. And, of course, everything was ready, and we started to work to go on down to finish our contract, which is 1,200 feet. And we made very good headway for probably 3 days, made 100 and some feet, as I can recall now. And we got down to about 1,020 feet. And then when we hit a crevice, seeming crevice, because if we'd turn the bit one way, it would go down 5 or 6 inches one way farther than the other, and turn a quarter turn, we'd stop back up. And we fought that for a couple of 2 or 3 days, and I wired my brother Jim to send me a new bit. Our bits that we had used all down along the well were badly worn, just nubbins, you might say. So I wired Jim for this bit, and he sent it down and arrived there on the morning of January 10th. I met the train, took it out to the well, and we put it on and running this string of drill pipe back in. Had about 700 feet or a little over in when the drilling mud commenced to boil up through the rotary. And it got higher and higher and higher up through the top of the derrick, and with such pressure while the drill pipe commenced to move up. It moved up and started to going out through the top of the derrick, took the elevator's traveling block and knocked the crown block off and fell over, and didn't do much damage to the engine, but knocked the smokestack of our boiler down. That pipe went up through the derrick and would break off in sections of 3 and 4 lengths at a time and fall over. Of course, after that got out of the way, while the rocks began to come out and gas to beat the cars. It didn't last so awful long, but it died down very gradually. Well, we 3 boys then sneaked back down to the well after it quieted down and surveyed the situation, and I don't think I'm exaggerating to say that the mud was 6 inch deep on the derrick floor. And I turned around to get a shovel to start to clean up, you see, get some of that off the floor, and all of a sudden a chunk of mud came out of the 6 inch hole full size with an explosion just like a cannon popping off. And that blew up with a little blue gas following it for a little bit, and then it quieted down, ceased all the